Good morning and welcome to the San Francisco Interfaith Council online briefing for community and faith partners. Today's program, Understanding Proposed Water and Sewer Rate Changes in San Francisco, is brought to you by the San Francisco Public Utilities Commission. Thank you. The important and ongoing work of the San Francisco Interfaith Council would not be possible without generous funding from congregations, corporations, faith-based social service agencies, foundations, judicatories, and supporters like you. Help us spread the word. Visit sfinterfaithcouncil.org to learn about SFIC programming and how to become a supporter. Follow SFIC on Facebook and X, and subscribe to SFIC's YouTube channel to watch all of our virtual events. A bit of housekeeping. Today's program is being recorded. For audio and video, all participants are muted and without video to minimize distraction. To submit a question or comment, select the chat button at the bottom of your screen and send a message to Q&A. Questions will be forwarded to the host and answered time permitting. For closed captions, click the button titled More, then click the Show Captions button. And at this time, I'd like to hand the floor over to the Executive Director of the San Francisco Interfaith Council, Michael Pappas. Michael, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Trey. Good morning and welcome to today's online briefing for community and faith partners hosted by the San Francisco Interfaith Council. Today's briefing is entitled Understanding Proposed Water and Sewage Rate Changes in San Francisco and is presented by the San Francisco Public Utilities Commission. I'm Michael Pappas, Executive Director of the San Francisco Interfaith Council, your moderator for this briefing. Presenting on behalf of the San Francisco Public Utilities Commission will be John Cote, Communications Director, who oversees the team responsible for media relations, social media, and public outreach, as well as Financial Planning Director Erin Koronova, who is responsible for setting all rates and fees for the agency's water, power, and sewer facilities. Water and sewer systems are vital to public health. They quietly protect our families, our congregations, and our neighborhoods every single day. Yet many parts of San Francisco's water system are nearly 100 years old. The oldest sections of our sewer system date back to the gold rush. These essential systems require ongoing maintenance and major upgrades to continue serving our city safely and reliably. To prevent main breaks, ensure dependable service, and improve seismic safety, the San Francisco Public Utilities Commission is replacing aging water and sewer infrastructure. Our rates help fund this work. To continue delivering the services that San Franciscans rely upon, the San Francisco Public Utilities Commission is proposing water and sewer rate increases effective July 1st, 2026. Taking action now will save money in the long run. The longer we wait to make necessary upgrades, the more costly they become. At today's presentation, San Francisco Public Utilities Commission staff will explain the proposed rate changes, share why upgrades are urgently needed, discuss available assistance programs, and answer your questions directly. You're encouraged to ask questions in the chat. This is a public meeting. You're also invited to learn more at sfpuc.gov/2026-rates. Without further ado, I give you our presenters, Erin and John.
Thank you, Michael, and good morning, everyone. Certainly appreciate that very kind introduction, Michael, and it's an honor to be here this morning with members of the Interfaith Council. As Michael mentioned, I'm John Cote. I'm the Communications Director here at the SFPUC, and it's my distinct pleasure to also be joined this morning by Erin Koronova, who's our Financial Planning Director. As Michael mentioned, really the goal of the meeting today, and Erin, if you wouldn't mind sharing the presentation, that would be wonderful. The goal of today's meeting is really to provide you with information about our proposed water and sewer rates. We'll share how they were developed, what is driving the need for a rate increase, and some of the programs that we offer to help customers lower their bills. As Michael noted, we also want to hear from you and answer any questions that you may have. Next slide, please. So as I think most people here know, we are San Francisco's water, power, and sewer department. Those are the three essential services that the San Francisco Public Utilities Commission provides. So our regional water system delivers high quality drinking water, not just for San Francisco, but for 2.7 million residents and thousands of businesses around the Bay Area. Our power enterprise, through a combination of clean energy that we generate and clean energy that we purchase, meets 75% of the electricity demand in San Francisco today. And our sewer and wastewater system and treatment plants are really the front line in San Francisco, protecting public health and the health of the Bay and the health of the Pacific Ocean. Now, all of these services are funded by the rates that our customers pay, not by taxes. And today we're going to be talking specifically about how your ratepayer dollars fund critical improvements to our aging water and sewer systems. As Michael noted, some parts of our sewer system date back to the gold rush, and parts of our water system are over 100 years old. Now, these systems are vital. Everyone needs clean water. Everyone needs functioning plumbing. These are all things that we rely on every day. Next slide, please. So here you see our Hetch Hetchy regional water system. It truly is a remarkable feat of engineering. If you look all the way to the right on the slide, you'll see Hetch Hetchy Reservoir. This is really the crown jewel of our system. And the reliable and affordable water that this system provides is really one of the fundamental underpinnings of the vitality of the Bay Area. Like our power system, as you see here, our water system stretches nearly the width of the state of California. And what that means is that we have thousands of miles of pipes to maintain. Yeah, in San Francisco alone, just to give you a brief example, we operate 1,200 miles of water pipelines just within the city. If you set those end to end, they would stretch from here all the way to Dodge City, Kansas. As we noted, many of these pipes, called water mains, are aging and they're nearing the end of their working life. And so ratepayer dollars have made tremendous improvements in this system over the last decade, including strengthening the system where it crosses earthquake faults, which you'll see there are the red vertical lines on the slide. But other upgrades are needed. Next slide, please. So here you see a list of just a few of the projects that we're working on right now to maintain and to upgrade the system that delivers drinking water to your taps. We're doing work from the Sierras all the way to San Francisco. That includes things like an extensive upgrade to the 100-year-old mountain tunnel in the Sierra Nevada. I mentioned Hetch Hetchy Reservoir. So all of the water from Hetch Hetchy Reservoir coming to the Bay Area flows through Mountain Tunnel. It's a crucial link, and we're making improvements to it so it can continue to serve the Bay Area for another 100 years. There's a range of other projects on here as well that are currently in the works. Next slide, please. So now we are going to switch to our sewer system. And here you see a map of that system. San Francisco has a combined sewer system. And what that means is that it collects and treats both wastewater and stormwater. So these types of sewer systems are common in major cities across the country, including New York, Chicago, Boston, many others. Now, as I mentioned earlier, that sewer system really is the first line of defense, protecting public health and the health of the bay and the ocean. It treats not just sewage, but also the bacteria, metals, and other contaminants that get caught up in stormwater runoff and treats those as well. Now, other cities in the Bay Area do not do that, and we're proud of our system because of the environmental benefits that it provides. We currently have 3 wastewater treatment plants, which you'll see marked by red arrows on the map. We also have a brand new treatment plant on Treasure Island that's going to be coming online this year. That's marked by the gold arrow on the map. And that plant on Treasure Island is really it's a state-of-the-art, really wastewater resource recovery facility. And it's just one example of how we've been consistently upgrading our sewer system over time. However, more critical upgrades are needed, including to meet new regulatory requirements to further protect the bay and the ocean. Next slide, please. So here you see just some of the upgrades that we're making to our sewer system. We're really in the midst of a critical push right now on the wastewater side of our operations. And here are some of the projects that are doing that and are currently in the works. I want to highlight just one of them right now, which is a series of projects that we're doing out at our Southeast treatment plant. So we are in the process of essentially completely transforming the Southeast treatment plant, which is San Francisco's oldest and largest wastewater treatment plant. It was built in 1952, and it continues to handle 80% of the the wastewater that San Francisco produces. So we're modernizing that plant so that it works better, smells better, and protects the environment better. We're doing all of this while keeping the plant running around the clock and ensuring that everyone can still take a shower, can still flush their toilet. In the image here, you see that is part of our new Headworks facility that was recently completed at the Southeast treatment plant. That's really the first step in the treatment process. It's where debris and grit are filtered out. And it also has state-of-the-art odor reduction, which has made a tremendous improvement for the surrounding community in the Bayview there. Next slide, please.
So I think you're turning it over to me here, John.
Yes, I will hand it off to Erin.
Great. So John talked a little bit about what we're doing. So I'm here to talk about the rates that are needed to pay for a lot of these upgrades. So just a little background on how we set rates at the SFPUC. We're a not-for-profit agency, so every dollar of your rates that comes to us goes to pay for the operations and maintenance and the capital upgrades that are needed to run our utilities. If we ever collect more money than it costs to run our utility during a year, we use that extra revenue to reduce future rate increases. So it goes right back to our customers. We are required to have an independent rate study. So that's having a third-party rate consultant that we hire to come in and review our costs, review how our rates are set, and provide recommendations on how those rates should go forward to comply with local laws and state laws about water and sewer rates. We do that at least every 5 years, and that consultant previously came through a few years ago, and so we're using the results of that study to propose the 2 years of rates that are going to be coming out to customers right now. You should actually have already received your rate notice in the mail. We also have a rate fairness board, which is a bit of a niche body that really gets into the nitty-gritty of all our rate proposals. It's where our consultant, where our staff would come to present the details of our rates. We have a little bit of information later in this slide about upcoming rate fairness board meetings, but if you're interested in the nitty-gritty of our rates, that's really the place that you can go to hear the details. So there's a lot of challenges, financial challenges that are facing our utility and really utilities broadly across the United States. John talked a little bit about these critical upgrades that we're needing to do because our water and sewer systems were built many years ago. There are many of these large assets, things, for example, the Southeast treatment plant is facing significant need for upgrades. It's just near the end of its useful life and it needs to be upgraded. One of the other big challenges is the cost of construction in San Francisco is extremely high. One source, we were looking at comparisons of different cities, found that San Francisco is the second most expensive city to do construction in the world, not just in the United States. So the only one more expensive than us was New York, and specifically in Manhattan. So we have to do all this work, and then it's going to cost us more than it would elsewhere, for a variety of reasons. I'm sure people are familiar with the challenges of doing things in San Francisco. A lot of the work that we're doing is driven by regulatory obligations, either at the state or federal level. So, for example, we have a requirement that we're planning to build out some new facilities to meet around preventing algae blooms in the bay. This is super important work. I mean, I think everybody is familiar with the issues that we faced a few years ago with the massive algae blooms that came through that caused a lot of fish die-offs. So, this is a critical priority, but building out the nutrient reduction facility that's needed to prevent that going forward is a $1.5 billion capital project. It's very expensive. And because it's being driven by regulatory obligations, we have limited flexibility in when we have to do that. We have to get it done by a certain point. So those regulatory obligations really set the scale and the pace of work that our agency needs to do. The last thing we'll put here, and you can see this picture, when we first upgraded our Southeast treatment plant in the 1970s, it was under the Clean Water Act. And at the time, the federal government passed a lot of regulations about what utilities needed to do to protect the public health and the environment, pollutants to keep out of water bodies. When they passed the Clean Water Act, it came with money. There was a significant federal level investment to help local utilities meet these new updated regulatory obligations. For a variety of reasons, the federal government does not do that any longer. And that's not just under this administration, although that's certainly making things worse. It's just sort of been a gradual shift away from the federal government paying for this work and really pushing the responsibility down to the local level and local ratepayers. And so there's really limited federal support as these assets reach the end of their useful life. And it's all on us here in San Francisco to make these upgrades. So putting all of this together, this has meant that the work that needs to be done is coming at a pretty significant cost. So we take affordability extremely seriously here at the SFPUC. I know I speak for all of finance and myself personally that this is a massive priority, that we have tried to do everything we can to minimize the impact of these rate increases on San Francisco. So our biggest cost driver is really these big capital projects. We went through a big capital planning process over the last year and a half. We sat down with the engineers, with the project managers who work on all of these. We got them to propose what are all the upgrades that you need to do. And then we went through a really rigorous multi-month prioritization process to cut or push out as much as we possibly could to bring those total costs down. And we actually reduced the total 10-year capital improvement plan by $4 billion by doing this. We've also done a lot of work to constrain operating costs. Although our costs are going up, there's a lot of, people are aware of the inflation, although we may be getting a reprieve. The tariffs have certainly driven up costs for a lot of the materials and supplies that we have to use to operate our facilities. We have to bake those in, but wherever we can, we are constraining that growth. One of the other things, and I'm a finance person, so I always like to emphasize the finance sides of things, is that we do everything we can within finance to be able to fund these capital upgrades as efficiently and cheaply as possible. So, for example, we issue revenue bonds to finance a lot of our capital upgrades. A revenue bond, in effect, it's like a loan or a mortgage. It's really just you get the cash and you pay principal and interest in the long run. And the interest rate that we're able to get from the banks and from the bondholders is determined by our credit rating. So our agency has a credit rating just like you would as an individual. One of the key things we work to do in finance is to really demonstrate that we are doing long-term sustainable financial planning in order to maintain that good credit rating. And that means that when we go out and sell those bonds, we can get lower interest rates, which really reduces the costs in the long run. We ran an example scenario here in the financial planning team of if our credit rating were to be downgraded and we had to increase the cost of our the interest rate on our bonds that we issue by just 2%. So if it went from a 5% interest rate to a 7% interest rate on those bonds, and it would increase the total cost to the agency by over $1 billion. So it would be a massive, massive cost to San Franciscans. So that's a big priority of ours, is that we make sure we keep a good eye on that credit rating so that we can keep those costs down. And then, I mentioned that there's been a real reduction in the availability of federal funding. There are still some programs available. They're mostly not grants at this point. They are loans, so you still have to pay them back, but they are lower interest loans than you can typically get from, selling our own bonds. So it does help with those costs. SFPUC is extremely aggressive in going after those loans for a lot of the upgrades at the Southeast Treatment Plant that John was previously talking about. We have received billions of dollars of federal and state loans for those projects, which have helped, again, reduce the interest that we're paying on funding those projects. And we continue to apply for whatever programs are available. So turning now, though, to what this actually means and what our rate proposal is. So this is a busy slide. I'll walk through it slowly here. On the right, we've got a table that's showing the proposed water and sewer rate increases for the next 2 years. And we set our rates on a fiscal year, so that means the rate changes would go into effect on July 1st of this year. So that first change would be on July of 2026 coming up this year, and then the next one in July of 2027. For water, we are proposing a 7% annual rate increase. And for the sewer side, we're proposing a 15% rate increase for the first year and a 14.5% increase for the second year. I've also got in this table the average combined bill increase, which is for an average residential customer and lines up with this chart here on the left. One thing I do want to note is that everybody's individual bill and how much their combined bill will go up depends on how you use the system. For our residential customers, it depends on how large your property is, which factors into how much stormwater runoff that it generates that we have to collect and manage. It also obviously depends on how much water you use. So if you would like to get a personalized bill estimate that really drills down to what it would cost you under these rate increases, we have a bill calculator tool on our website. You can take your latest monthly bill, see what your water usage is, and go plug that in, and it'll give you a version of this information that's customized to your usage. But looking at the average single-family residential customer in San Francisco, their combined water and sewer bill is going to go from about $171 a month right now to $189 a month in the next year and $212 a month in the following year. And you can see that the majority of that growth is on the sewer side. That's partially because that's where all of our investment is happening. I mean, not all, there's certainly work going on the water side, but it's where the majority of the big expensive construction that we're doing right now is going. On the water side, we also are fortunate that our system, we are a wholesale water provider, and we share the cost of our regional facilities, that Hetch Hetchy Reservoir and the water transmission pipelines that come to the Bay Area, with the other cities and utilities down in the peninsula, the South and East Bay that we sell water to. So that does help a little bit on the water side. Whereas in wastewater, it's entirely within San Francisco to pay for those significant upgrades. This next slide is showing the same information, but looking instead at the average small commercial customer. There's a lot of variation, obviously, in how commercial customers use water. A restaurant, a hotel, a small storefront are going to use very different amounts of water, so their bills will look quite different. And again, if you have a business or no business owners who want to look at their bill impact, I definitely encourage people to go check out that bill calculator on our website for this information. We realize these increases are significant. I don't want to minimize the cost that this puts on San Franciscans. However, one of the big things that we also like to do is look around at how our bills compare to other cities and utilities in the Bay Area and California. So that's what this graph is showing. Here, this darker bar here at the 189, that is the average San Francisco residential bill with next year's proposed increase. So that's after July when the rates go up. And you can see in this chart here that even with this proposed increase, we are still projected to be cheaper on average than what a single family customer would pay in Los Angeles, in San Diego, Santa Clara, and Santa Cruz, and just a little bit more expensive than Oakland and San Jose. I think a couple things I want to note here. A lot of the challenges that I'm talking about that our utility is facing, regulatory requirements, aging infrastructure, lack of federal support, that's not just San Francisco. Those are common problems that are challenges for utilities across the state and the country. So all of our peers are really facing these significant upgrades and really grappling with how they're going to manage that. So you see that in everybody else's bill increases. One of the other big things I'd like to note about San Francisco is, as John mentioned, we do have that combined sewer system that collects and treats not just the wastewater that goes down your sewers, but also the stormwater runoff that comes through catch basins on the street and off of people's properties. So part of the reason that our wastewater bills tend to be a little bit higher than everybody else's is because we do essentially provide more services by treating that stormwater runoff. We are providing a higher level of environmental protection, of public health protection. Although these other cities do have to treat their stormwater, a lot of times they end up paying for that on property taxes or via other methods that aren't part of their sewer bill. So it's a little apples and oranges sometimes to compare. And with that, I think I will turn it back over to John to talk about some of the resources that we do have available for customers in light of these rate increases.
Thank you, Erin. So, as Erin noted, we certainly understand that higher bills are a challenge for many of our customers. And as she noted, we're really trying to do everything we can to keep our costs down and balance affordability with the services that our customers rely on every day. So that's part of the reason why we offer free resources for our customers to save both water and money. These include numerous rebate, grant, and other services. They're available to residents, businesses, and organizations like yourselves. Some examples include free WaterWise checkups. We also offer free water-saving devices and stormwater grants to help reduce the amount of stormwater running off a property into the sewer system. We're also very mindful of our community members with low incomes, and that's why we offer a customer assistance program that provides eligible customers with discounts of 25% up to 40% off their water and sewer bill, depending on their income. Low-income customers can go online right now and check their eligibility and apply online in 8 languages. And all of this info is centrally located on our website at sfpuc.gov/2026-rates. I also wanted to note that before we even proposed these new rates, we made a committed effort to reaching as many low-income customers as we could to help them to apply for these discount programs. Last year in 2025, we partnered with community groups to hold 7 in-person events across the city, really focused on low-income customers to help them sign up for these programs. The events included real-time assistance in Spanish, Cantonese, Mandarin, and Filipino. They were held in neighborhoods across the city, including Chinatown, the Mission, Bayview Hunters Point, and Potrero Hill. And the focus there was really to connect with vulnerable customers in their own neighborhoods. And we saw significant interest in these programs. We had, particularly among seniors and among immigrant communities, we had more than 850 customers attend those in-person registration drives, which was an average of about 120 people per event. And we're going to be continuing these events this summer to provide hands-on assistance to any customer who needs it. Next slide, please. Aaron had mentioned earlier some of the upcoming rate fairness board meetings and other opportunities for the public to participate in this process. So there will be rate fairness board meetings in March and April. We also are going to hold a series of community webinars. We've reached out to groups like yourselves, like the Interfaith Council, to do direct presentations, but we're also sharing this information as widely as we can with the public through these upcoming public webinars. You see the dates there. We have 2 in March and a third one in April. They're going to be staggered at different times of the day to make them as convenient as possible for our customers' different schedules. So one will be held in the morning, one during the lunch hour, and one in the evening. We'll also present this rate proposal to our commission on Tuesday, April 28th. And if the rates are approved, they would take effect on July 1st of this year. Next slide, please. So here you just see some contact info that we have. I mentioned our website, sfpuc.gov/2026-rates. It has a wealth of information on there. It has information and links for how to apply for our discount programs, how to get information around other water saving programs that we offer. We also have a dedicated email address and phone number for questions regarding rates. And with that, I will open it up to you all for any questions that you may have for us today.
A thousand thanks, Aaron and John. This was a very, very comprehensive presentation. It also raised a lot of questions as well, just some clarifying questions and some thoughts to amplify some of the things you said. I also would encourage those from the audience to submit questions online. I did want to say that this presentation, the recording link will be sent out by day's end today, and we're encouraging our 5600 e-subscribers to not only watch it, but perhaps contact the PUC to make presentations in their congregations, because the view from the pew is important, and usually there are vulnerable populations there who will be impacted. I had a few questions, and then we will ask some amplifying questions as well. Can you explain who makes the decision to increase the rates? Is it the Board of Supervisors? Is it the commission? How does that work? And what's the relationship between the PUC and the Board of Supervisors and the mayor?
You can take that one, John.
Sure.
So the rates themselves are approved by our commission, which is our governing board. The process by which those rates are approved is set based on San Francisco city law and then state law. So the biggest thing I think people would notice is that the state requires that we send out a notice to every property owner and every account holder in San Francisco about the proposed rate increases. And those notices have come out. People should be seeing them in their mailboxes. With that notice, there's an opportunity for, if you disagree with the rate increases, you can submit a protest, which goes to our commission, and our commission does consider all the protests that are received as part of their decision as to whether or not they're going to vote for the rates. After the commission approves the rates, it does then go to the Board of Supervisors. They are not required to approve the rates, but they may choose to call a hearing, and they could reject the rates. I will say, obviously, as the people who set the rates, we're hoping that they're not rejected, but we definitely encourage people to still voice their opinion. If you have concerns, please, it's your right to reach out and voice those.
If I heard correctly, you're funded exclusively by the monies you get from the rates and not from the city's budget?
Yes, that's correct. We don't receive any city tax dollars. It's all utility rates.
Because I know the city's budget is also in a tenable
Yes.
situation right now. So, well, this is encouraging to know. You also mentioned that there's limited federal support. I'm wondering, do we get any state support?
Not for our operating expenses. The only real state funds we've received are, again, loans. So they have various loan programs for these capital upgrades, which we do apply for and we receive. But at the end of the day, a loan, you still have to pay it back. So it helps for sure, but it's not a silver bullet.
One of my first jobs out of college, I worked for a municipal bond firm. And so I
Mhm.
was just curious uh, what our credit rating is here in San Francisco.
Um, I always mix up because the different rating agencies label things slightly differently. But we are I think double A2, so it's sort of a middle of the road rated water and sewer utility. Typically, when we talk with rating agencies, they're very impressed by our long-term financial planning. They think we have good reserves. We have never, missed any debt payments. We have a solid financial ground. But because of the magnitude of the capital increases we're facing, and especially the magnitude of the rate increases, they recognize that that's challenging for customers. That's sort of a thing that is on the negative side of our rating. So they said, you have challenging situation, but you're dealing with it about as well as you can. So that's kind of how we've ended up where we are.
I don't think we're alone in this at all. When was the last time there was a significant rate increase?
So we last approved 3 years of rate increases, which was a 5% annual increase for water and a 9% annual increase on the sewer side. So I think depends on what you call significant. I would say that's still a significant rate increase. And especially on the water side, through 2010 through about, now, we were embarked on a major upgrade to our regional water system, the Water System Improvement Program, which is a $4.8 billion investment in upgrading our transmission pipelines to deal with how they cross earthquake faults. So they put in these cool connectors that literally can shift by feet in the event of an earthquake and still be a functioning water pipe to make sure we can have water getting to the system. This also included a lot of upgrades to our reservoirs to make them more earthquake resilient, upgrades to our treatment plants. So that set of increases, which we've really come off of on the water side, associated with that, there were some very significant water increases, 12%, 10, 12% for quite a few years on that side.
This is necessary maintenance.
It's critical, right? I mean, we don't want to take our water systems for granted. And one of the comparisons we like to make is that, you look at your monthly bill and it is a significant cost, but if you compare a gallon of water received from the SFPUC, I want to say, John, it was 3 cents per gallon was what we calculated. Is that?
That sounds right.
Yeah. Which obviously is much, much cheaper than, bottled water or anything else you could get. So, I don't want to minimize again the cost of this necessary utility on people's monthly bills, but if you think about the security of knowing that you can rely on the system, that it is maintained, that it is upgraded, that in the event of an emergency, the water will be there, that it will be safe to drink. We meet and exceed all mandated drinking water standards. It really is quite a value.
I'm just curious because I've had the occasion to travel to Hetch Hetchy and follow the water line. Are any of the local communities along the way also kicking in and supporting this, or is it just the ratepayers?
It is just the ratepayers. I mentioned on the water side that we do provide water service. The majority of the peninsula receives water from the SFPUC from our reservoirs, as well as Hayward and Alameda County Water District over in the East Bay, San Jose, Santa Clara down in the South Bay. So they do pay for a portion of the regional improvements. Everything that's just within San Francisco is only paid for by San Franciscans. Um, yeah, so that it's really only the people who are receiving our water who pay into the system.
Uh, there were a bunch of things that you said, and so that it doesn't go over anybody's head, I'd like to key in on just a few of them and just lift them up and drill down a little further too. What programs do you have to help lower water or stormwater bills? because I think that that's what people are going to be asking at this point, especially in the midst of this affordability crisis that we're in the midst of.
So I'm happy to take that one, Aaron, and feel free to weigh in as well. So, Michael, we have a number of programs, both for water and for wastewater. I mentioned the WaterWise evaluation. That's a free program that we offer where we will send out a staff person to uh, go over someone's property and see areas where there may be opportunities for savings on water, whether that's whether there are leaks, uh, other opportunities to be more efficient. And then we offer free devices like low flow toilets, low flow shower heads that the WaterWise technician will then either provide information on how to obtain those for um, other projects, including we have a rebate program for large commercial washing machines where folks can essentially get a rebate on a very significant one on uh, a new up-to-date washing machine. Information on all of these programs and other ones that I'll highlight in a second can be found on our website at sfpuc.gov/savings. Um, on the wastewater side, we offer uh, green infrastructure grants. These are grants to essentially take um, hardscape spaces, parking lots, other paved areas, and add in sustainable features like rain gardens, like living roofs, etc., to uh, essentially return stormwater to the ground and natural treatment, and while at the same time reducing the impact on our sewer system. Uh, and I know there's
For that
additional
one in
pro.
particular, I think that the congregations themselves might find attractive, and perhaps we could focus on that, maybe even in another presentation or presentations around the city for those. We have an organization called California Interfaith Power and Light, which greens congregations, and so I'd like to connect you with them because I think that this one in particular would be of interest to the houses of worship in particular.
I think that makes a lot of sense. And I know we have a team that works on that grant program who would be extremely interested in speaking with you all. Yeah.
What would be very helpful also, because here we are talking, but when we send the recording link out, I think if we sent links to these particular
Mhm.
uh, programs, then people could click on and figure out what needs to happen for them to economize.
Yes, we're happy to include that info. And then, as Aaron noted, our green infrastructure grant team, I think, would be very excited to talk to you and your members.
John, I interrupted you. Was there anything else you wanted to add to this piece of it?
Those were the real highlights. Thank you, Michael.
Of course. Okay. And uh, I asked this because I'm turning 65 in May. Do you have any senior or low income discount programs that seniors, especially, I know that are going to be on fixed incomes, but also lower income people as well?
Yeah, I'm happy to chime in there too, Aaron. We have we do have, as I mentioned, a customer assistance program, which is a discount program. It is specifically geared toward low-income customers. However, as you noted, many seniors are on fixed incomes, and many seniors do qualify for that program. Folks, that was one of the programs I mentioned that we held in-person application drives for throughout the course of last year, and we'll do so again this summer. However, you don't need to attend one of those application drives to sign up for the program. We have information on our website. Folks can apply online. They can apply in 8 languages. And there is a link to that program from the page I just mentioned, sfpuc.gov/savings. There's also a link to it from we have a dedicated water and sewer rates webpage, which has all the information that Aaron and I have shared today, as well as additional frequently asked questions. And there is a link there to sign up for that low income discount program. And that page is sfpuc.gov/2026-rates.
And perhaps I'll just add for context, that discount program is eligible customers are up to 50% of the area median income in San Francisco, which as of today for a two-person household is $62,000 a year. So depends on your household size, and then actually lower income customers receive even larger discounts. So definitely check out the website, but just that's roughly the eligibility threshold for context.
I think I heard you talk about Clean Power SF, did I? Is that different than these everything else you've talked about, or is that so? Can you just kind of drill down on that and how people can access it?
Sure. Yeah, I'll
I'll
take
let
that
you
one,
start.
Aaron.
Yeah.
All right. And of course, please feel free to weigh in. So Clean Power SF is a program that is run by the San Francisco Public Utilities Commission. We've primarily been talking about our water and sewer services this morning, but we also have power services as well. We have two clean power programs. Clean Power SF is one of them. And most folks are actually automatically enrolled in Clean Power SF. They don't need to do anything or take any additional steps. They'll be default enrolled in it. If they so choose, we also offer a premium program. It's called Super Green, which is our 100% renewable portfolio of energy. Clean Power SF offers incredibly clean and green power, more so than PG&E's basic service. But if folks want to take that extra step to go super green, they certainly have the opportunity to do that. There is a slightly higher cost for it, but for some folks, that is worth it. And information on that can be found on our Clean Power SF website. We have a dedicated website specifically for that program to make it easier for folks to find. It's just cleanpowersf.org, and folks can go on there and click to sign up for Super Green if they want. Otherwise, folks are default enrolled in Clean Power SF when they sign up for electrical service through PG&E.
I'm going to have to tax your generosity and ask you for all these links to put in the recording link blast that we'll send out today. I'm sorry, Erin, you were about to say?
Oh, you're fine. I just wanted to add one thing on Clean Power SF. As John mentioned, this presentation is focused on the water and sewer rates because we're gearing up for that rate hearing that's coming up. But I did want to note that there's sort of a good news story on Clean Power SF about rates, which is that actually effective 3 days ago at the beginning of March, the Clean Power SF portion of your power bill went down for residential customers by 25%. It's a little bit complicated with Clean Power SF because that program is a partnership with PG&E. And so many people don't even know they're enrolled because you pay your bill to PG&E and you get your bill from PG&E. But if you were to look at that bill, there's actually a section that says the power supply, the cost to generate the power, comes from Clean Power SF, and those are the rates that we control and set. And then the cost to deliver the power to your home is still going to PG&E, and so we don't have control over those. So PG&E portion of the bill has been going up significantly in recent years, and it's been a big concern, I think, statewide. And so one of the actions we recently took is that we have decreased our rates to help customers have a more affordable power bill, and that we just already went into effect. And so I think that's one of the things I like to come back to as an advantage of being a not-for-profit public utility is that if we are able to, we always do try to keep rates lower, or on the lucky occasion that we can actually make decreases. And that's something we pass our savings back on.
Really, the last question I have for you all, and seeing none from the audience, just remind us, when do the new rates go into effect?
So the rate proposal is going to our commission at that April 28th hearing. And if it is approved, and then if the Board of Supervisors does not reject the rates, then they would go into effect on July 1st of this year.
So everybody should do their budgeting.
Yes.
Indeed. I can't thank you both enough. And to thank our viewers for tuning into this special online briefing for community and faith partners entitled Understanding Proposed Water and Sewer Rate Changes in San Francisco. We thank our presenters from the San Francisco Public Utilities Commission, Erin Coronova and John Cote. And if you have not already, you're encouraged to register for next Thursday's March 12th in-person disaster preparedness training at St. Mark's Lutheran Church, 1111 O'Farrell. It'll begin at 8 a.m. and is sponsored by San Francisco Community Agencies Responding to Disasters and underwritten by Listos California. Disaster emergency kits will be given to all in attendance, so please register. If you got this notice, you will have received the invitation to register for this training. This concludes today's online briefing. God bless you, God keep you, and have a wonderful day.